Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I have too much makeup. One could say that my makeup to facial area ratio is suboptimal. Now, for me, makeup is a hobby, it's my daily moment of zen, it's a source of joy, so I don't feel a need to really strictly streamline that ratio, but there is admittedly still room for improvement. Now, some of this excess was my own fault because I have been known to over-purchase in certain makeup categories in the past. I'm looking at you, eyeshadow palette collection. But after nearly an entire year now of not purchasing any makeup whatsoever, I'm beginning to think that over-purchasing is not my only issue. Despite the fact that I have spent an entire year slowly and thoughtfully decluttering my makeup and using it up, I still have pretty much the same amount that I did at the beginning of the year. How is this possible, you may ask? One massive source of my makeup influx over the years has been the fact that a lot of my friends and family, they subscribe to things like beauty boxes, or they purchase gift sets or advent calendars around the holidays, and then they end up decluttering a lot of the individual items from those packages to me, because they know I love playing with the stuff. And I do. Every single time they declutter to me, it's like Christmas and my birthday all wrapped into one, and it never gets old. But see, like a hoarder, or to put it more kindly, someone with extreme scarcity mentality, I've never filtered any of the stuff. People gave me stuff, and I was like, yay, stuff! And then the stuff moved in. The really awesome stuff, some mediocre stuff, and some kind of bad stuff, which, to be fair, I have decluttered most of over the course of this year, so maybe I'm not a hoarder yet. But the point is, I don't think my friends and family would be insulted if I passed some of the stuff on, especially because they decluttered it to me. During my replacements only no buy this year, I have made it my mission to thoroughly test as much of my makeup as possible so that I can do a slow and really thoughtful declutter, because I've been given so many nice things over the years that are so good and so expensive. So it would be a shame to just indiscriminately toss them into a donation box without taking a closer look at them first, just so that I can start fresh with a clean slate. Although, to be honest, that probably wouldn't be the worst idea. But as I mentioned in my most recent vlog, sometimes just having the opportunity to play with and swatch and experiment with new to me makeup is enough. I don't necessarily need to own it. So I want to change things up. In fact, I've already been changing things up. When a bunch of secondhand makeup got decluttered to me this summer, instead of coming home and then immediately just putting that stuff away and storing it with all of my other makeup, I decided I would store it in a separate bag so that I could thoroughly test it. Makeup no longer gets to just move in here. It needs to earn its place on my face. It needs to audition. As a singer, when I audition for a band, just being a good vocalist isn't enough to get me a spot in that band. I also have to mesh well with the other musicians, and it's going to be the same way with my makeup. Just excellent quality won't be enough. It also has to suit my tastes, and it has to add value within the context of my collection. That's the only way it gets to stay. So I have been juxtaposing the items decluttered to me with the things that I already have in my collection so I can see how they interact in direct comparison. If any of these items steal the show, then hey, they can stay. In fact, if any of them perform better than what I already have, then they might even replace tried and tested items from my collection. No one is safe. But if these items don't perform well in the context of the things that I already have, then they're going to get passed on without ever having truly joined my collection in the first place. My hope is that this new approach, combined with my decluttering activities, will help prevent any makeup mayhem from building up again in future. So today, we are going to be taking a look at the makeup I have been auditioning. Let's dive in, and I guess the best place to start is lipsticks, since I got a lot of those this time around. I received a mini of Charlotte Tilbury's Amazing Grace Matte Lipstick. This is a vivid pink, kind of corally color, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I don't know if I need that, because I already have a full-size Charlotte Tilbury lipstick, also in a vivid corally color, but this one is in the shade Miranda May. Now, I am a nude lipstick kind of girl. I don't really need more than one of this type of color. So I decided I would just pit them against each other and see which one suited me better. And it turns out Amazing Grace just works better with my coloring. So she kicked Miranda May out of the band. So Miranda May, it was an honor working with you. I wish you success in all your future endeavors. Amazing Grace is the winner. But not only does the color suit me better, the size suits me better as well. Because although I really enjoy having the option of wearing a bright colored lipstick for specific occasions, the reality is I don't wear this color very often at all, so I don't need a full-size lipstick. So this just suits me better for many reasons, and so I'm very glad that this one is moving in instead. Next is this NYX Lip Lingerie liquid lipstick in the shade French Maid. This shade is really nice on my coloring. Unfortunately, I just don't like the formula. First of all, it is a liquid lipstick, so it's drying. It's definitely not as drying as some that I've tried, but it's still not super comfortable. Second of all, it does dry down, but not 100%. It stays just tacky enough so that like my lips stick together and like opening them is just uncomfortable. So I didn't like that. But worst of all, this fades. I mean, to be fair, it faded evenly, like any good bullet lipstick. But I mean, the whole point of a liquid lipstick is that it's going to be immovable. It's not going to go anywhere. And this one fades. So why would I put up with a drying formula of a liquid lipstick if it's not going to stay put? So in that capacity, as a lipstick, this isn't worth my time. I did try it as a cream blush, and I have to say it actually works pretty well for that. It blends really nicely. It doesn't get stuck in the pores. You know how like some formulas, the pigments kind of get stuck in the pores and like turn into little dots? This one doesn't do that, so that's good. And I do like the color, but I already have a satin cream blush by Estee Lauder in the shade Mauve Light. And like the colors are very similar, but the undertones of that one are just slightly better as a cheek product. So I would just rather keep that and then give this away. This next lipstick pretty much instantly became a member of the collection. It is MAC Whirl. I have had the lip liner of the same name in my kit for years, and it's probably one of my most used lip liners. So when I saw that I had the chance to try the actual lipstick, I was like, yes, please. And I tried it. I loved it. I'm wearing it today. I really enjoy the formula and the color. The reason I didn't purchase this for myself earlier was because I already have Charlotte Tilbury's Birkin Brown, and they're not dupes for each other. They're not the same, but they are similar enough that I didn't feel the need to go like spend money to own both of them. I figured I already have it. I don't need Whirl. But this one is more brown and the Charlotte Tilbury is more red. And so I don't know. I feel like they're different enough that it's worth keeping them both. I'm not like 100% sure of that though. And so if I find that I'm only reaching for one of them, I will rethink that and then maybe come back, revisit it, and then maybe possibly declutter the one that I'm not using. But for now, I'm really enjoying Whirl. I was also given another MAC lipstick this summer. Same formula, but different color. This is MAC's D for Danger. I'm not really crazy about this color on me. It's kind of like a deep magenta or like a bright, vivid wine color. And I'm just not a fan of how it acts with my skin color. But also, I know myself. And if I'm going to look for like a deep, intense color like this, I'm going to want to reach for an immovable liquid lipstick. Because as much as I want to be that classy lady who is always put together, I just know myself. And an intense color like this is going to get all over my teeth in like 7 seconds flat. So I'm going to give this one away. I also received another Charlotte Tilbury mini, this time in the shade Very Victoria. Here's the deal. I already own this lipstick in the full size. In fact, I use this a lot. Here is my current progress. It might not look that impressive, but here's why. Fellow lipstick wearers of the world, I'm sure you feel my pain. I reach for this all the time. I put it on while I'm sitting on my vanity, and then I decide I'm going to go out and I pop this in my bag so that I can reapply on the go. And then I come back home, and the next day I try to do my makeup, and I can't find this because I'm looking for it on my vanity, but it's still in my bag. So there's been so many months of use lost just because this is like in my bag instead of on my vanity. So I have decided this one will live on my vanity, this one will live in my bag, and then I can wear it as much as I want. And the last lipstick that I got this summer was the Clinique Lip Color in Plum Pop. This is a comfortable cream lipstick formula with a slightly glossy finish and no scent. I thought that the shade looked nice with my coloring, but it is outside of my comfort zone because it's not a nude lipstick. So initially I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to reach for that. I should probably pass it on. But then I tried it as a cream blush. And I have to say, I was impressed. It's got a nice juicy finish. It's got surprising longevity. And I feel like it's totally on trend with that like I'm cold makeup look that everybody's so, talking about right now. Did you notice? Do I look cold? Brr. I tried. So this one is getting a callback. That means I'm impressed, but I still need a little bit more time to make a final decision. I need to see it in action a little bit more. The formula is not what I'm questioning. It's the shade. I don't know how much I'm going to organically reach for this. So what I'm going to do is just put it on my vanity and I'm going to see how often I think of it, how often I reach for it, when there's no barriers there. And if I find that I'm craving the shade, then it can stay. Especially because it goes so well with this Lancome Blush Subtil in the shade Plum Charm. This is also something that was given to me this summer. And when I use this powder blush to set this lipstick, the soft shine is so pretty. It's so pretty. It's what I'm wearing today. So this one is also getting a callback. If I find that I keep reaching for this duo as much as I have been while I've been testing it, then it can definitely stay. But if I'm not reaching for it, I have to pass this on because it is too pretty of a combination to just sit in my drawer. While we're on cheeks, let's talk about this sample highlighter I got from the brand Jouer. This is their highlighter in Tiara. When I initially swatched this on the back of my hand, it felt smooth yet grippy. It's like the perfect level of emollients. And the finish was just so satiny. I was like, this is going to be beautiful. But we all know by now, I think, that hand swatches don't tell the whole story. The pores on my face are much bigger than the pores on the back of my hand. And when I applied this to my face, all of a sudden, like little micro glimmers came out of nowhere. And it just created this very metallic finish, but with like micro glitter particles on my cheeks. And it really emphasized the texture. So this was a no-go as a highlighter for me. So I decided I would try it as a cream eyeshadow. And, it wasn't bad. But I have the Tom Ford Cream and Powder eyeshadow duo in the shade Sun Worship, and that one was prettier in every way. So this just couldn't compete. All I have to say is, don't call us, we'll call you. Then we have a sample of Benefit's Dandelion Brightening Face Powder, which on me is just a very light, very soft, baby pink blush. Initially, when I saw it and swatched it out on my hand, I was like, oh, that's really similar to Clinique's Nude Pop, which I already have. It's one of my favorite blushes. This one is slightly pinker. The Clinique Nude Pop is more peach. This one is a little bit more saturated. Like they both have the same depth of tone, but this one has just a little bit more brightness to it, whereas the Nude Pop is a little bit less saturated. The formula of this is just a little bit heavier weight, whereas like the Clinique is a lighter weight formula. And they both have a sheen, but this one isn't as extreme or as glowy as the Cheek Pop one. So I was like, yeah, but even though I see clear differences, they're definitely similar. Like I don't need both. And yet, during the testing phase, I kept finding myself wanting a baby pink blush, and this is the only one that I have. And I didn't look for baby peach. I was looking for baby pink. And this is what gave it to me. So I was like, wow, I think I'm going to keep this. And it kind of surprised me, but hey, if I'm using it, then it's staying. I also received 2 powders this summer. One is the Dermablend Professional Loose Setting Powder, this little baby version of it. This, to be honest, has been like my tried and tested stage powder for years. It can look cakey if I'm not careful, but I'm careful for the most part. I think I'm not going to give this a second thought, and I'm just going to toss it in my travel bag. As for this RCMA No Color powder, on the other hand, I think this is going to go into the callback box. In fact, I think all of my powders are going to go into the callback box for now, except for the Derma Blend, just because I've been using that on stage. So that'll just stay in my stage bag and I won't think anything else of it. All of the other powders I have are going into the callback box because I haven't really figured them out yet. I feel like this is a good quality powder, but like I'm still looking for I don't know what my preferences are yet. And I don't want to like just declutter powders until I know what my preferences are. And I feel like right now I have a nice semi-broad base so that I can do some experimentation. I can build up a knowledge matrix of the different formulas. I can figure out what my wants and needs are. And only once I know what I want and what I need and what I have, can I then do a thoughtful declutter? So this is going to go in the callback box. It does work. I think it's nice, but I just am not entirely sure if it's the one. But when it comes to eyes, I know exactly what I want. I also received this Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Chaos. If you saw my fake Sephora haul this past spring, then you might remember that this product in this precise color was on my wish list, and I imagined using it as an accent liner, and that is exactly as I have been using it during this test phase. Basically, I just do very boring makeup. I don't use a lot of color. I just kind of contour my face and my eyes and my lips a little bit, but it's kind of like a no makeup look, and then this. Just, in your face accent liner. And I like it. It's fun. So I'm keeping it. This next pot shadow from Shiseido is very promising. I would love to give you a product name or a shade name, but the writing on the bottom of this container is so insanely small that like, I don't think a human being on the continent could read this. I guess we'll just call it Susie. Susie Sparkle Bottom. This is a beautiful topper shade. It's got a translucent, transparent base with like suspended glitter particles, and they're kind of like just like icy white. It's not quite a wet look shadow, but it does give you kind of like a nice, elegant little glitter look, and I thought this was really pretty. But once again, Tom Ford cream and powder eyeshadow duos, they just trump everything. This is pretty, but the Tom Ford is just prettier. Plus, the cream in that duo gives me kind of like a smoother shine. And then if I want to amp that up with glitter, I can always use the topper. So I don't know, like as long as I have those, I feel like they beat almost anything else. So I'm going to give this away to a friend who enjoys a classy, elegant glitter look. My mom also gave me this single shadow from Lancome, which I have on my eyes today. It's called Optic Sheen. And I'm just going to reference my notes here because I don't want to forget what I wanted to say. I wrote that it is a lightweight satin eyeshadow with buildable opacity. So you can just have like a sheer wash of sheen on the eye if you want, but you can also build it up so that you have like a more intense gray satin sheen. So the name Optic Sheen really is fitting. I went through my entire single eyeshadow collection to see if I had a dupe for this, and it turns out I kind of did. I found this sheen. It's not exactly the same. It's a little bit more blue-based. This is like a slightly warmer version, but they're very similar. Like on the eye, I think they look pretty much the same color-wise. And finish-wise, they're also very similar. This one is Twilight Mauve from Clinique. So I applied this one to one eye, this one to the other, and I just found this one to be more versatile and more nuanced because I just felt like it built on itself better. You could get, a sheer wash with both, but it just looked nicer with this one. So I am going to keep Optic Sheen from Lancome, and I'm going to give away Twilight Mauve from Clinique. I am going to group the last two eye products together into like one thing just because they're kind of a match made in heaven. My mom decluttered this MAC eyeshadow to me in the shade Moon's Reflection. It's in their Velux Pearl finish. And she also decluttered this BU soft liner in the shade 662. This is just like a drugstore liner. This is a MAC shadow, but the color, the finish, they go together really well. And I really enjoyed this color of blue. I don't wear a lot of blue eyeshadow. In fact, I don't really own a lot of blue eyeshadow, but this, like the the combination of the color plus that pearlescent finish just made it really easy for me to wear. And I was like, I really like this. I think this is like a really cool combo. But I was kind of hesitant as to whether I should keep the liner because I already own the Gucci liner, which is just, I mean, the price points are so different. This is drugstore. This is Gucci. But this is the same color. It's just matte. And so I just figured, well, I mean, if I really want a liner with sheen to it, then I can just use this liner and then pat this over the top of it and then it'll have sheen. And I'm right. It does work really well like that. But here's the thing. What I've really liked doing is when I want to intensify this look, what I'll do is I will apply this liner everywhere I want to intensify the shadow, and it just kind of like amps up both the color and the shine of the shadow. And I really like that. And I mean, I could do that with this combination as well. But do I really want to use my expensive Gucci liner as an eyeshadow base? I do not. So I decided I would keep this just because it serves a very specific purpose, but I would not run out and buy this again. Like once I use it up, it'll be gone. But I think all in all, I'm happy with all three of them. So now we've talked about the quality of the makeup, and I feel like I've made some very well-founded decisions, but let's take a look at the numbers. I'm gonna look at my notes because I'm not a numbers person. I originally received 16 decluttered items, 4 of which never actually made it into my collection. They're just gonna be passed along. It's like they visited me for the long weekend, we had some fun together, now they're leaving. 3 items are currently stuck in the callback box. So that's these 2 things that I'm going to use as blushes and this powder. And that means that 9 items made it into my makeup kit. Although I think we can think of that number as smaller because this lipstick bumped out an old lipstick that I had already had. And this eyeshadow bumped out an eyeshadow that I already had. So I feel like my collection only really grew by 7 items. So if we look at it that way, that means I kept 44% of what was given to me, or 44% of the potential growth of my collection is now reality. My question is that cutthroat enough? The answer is, I don't know. It's really late and I'm very tired. And I'm kind of done making decisions for today. But if you have ever watched one of my videos to the end, then you already know what my motto is for this channel. And that is that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style. And I kind of feel like that's what I'm doing here. I admit I could have been more cutthroat. I could have said something like, well, I don't have a history of wearing blue eyeshadow, so this is gonna go, and this is gonna go, and this is gonna go. But I mean, where's the fun in that? If I just always base my decisions on what I've done in the past, then how am I ever gonna try anything new? So I don't know. I think this was a good start. A good stumbly start. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Just please, please be merciful. I am so tired. I have to go to bed. But if you'd like to keep hanging out, I have another video for you right here. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, then, do the like, subscribe thing. I hope you have a wonderful week and that we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.